My name's Travis Robinson. I just came back from Standing Rock as a documentarian with the California Vets for Standing Rock. This is my list to survive in Standing Rock. For clothing, you're going to want traction cleats for your boots. There's a lot of black ice out there, and it's really important that you have good traction. You're going to want 2 pairs of insulated boots. The toe box sometimes does get wet, and your boots get wet over time. At the end of the night, you're going to want an extra pair of shoes, or if they just get so wet in the middle of the day where you have an extra pair. You're going to want snow gaiters to keep out the snow from your boots. You're going to want 2 pairs of merino wool liners every single day to partner up with 2 heavy-duty wool socks a day. You're gonna want merino wool thermal pants. Get the thick ones. There's 2 different kinds. You're gonna want to use those every single day because it's your base layer for your legs. I only brought 1 pair. I would recommend, depending on how many days, bringing at least 2 to 3. You stayed out for approximately 4 days. I used 1 pair for those 4 days. They get dirty, you're gonna wanna change them out. You're gonna want synthetic pants. Anything that's cotton is not good. So a pair of long synthetic pants to go over those liners for your legs. Over the synthetic pants, you're gonna want snow pants. So you have a 3-layer system for your legs. You're obviously gonna wanna bring a belt, a leather belt. It could be used in medical situations. Tops, you're gonna want a merino wool long sleeve zip up. It's good for once you go into your tent, you can zip it down, cool yourself off, or use it just as a long sleeve to zip up to keep yourself warm. You always want insulated clothing with Gore-Tex that wicks away moisture. So merino wool does that. Other synthetic materials do that. Just find stuff that wicks away moisture. You are going to want 2 snow jackets. It's always a 3-layer system, so I was always wearing 2 snow jackets. You're also going to want an outer shell, depending on how hot you get and how much you're moving around. My jacket had an outer layer that was wicked. Some people's may not be. The stuff that actually keeps off the snow and from it seeping into your jacket wears off over time. So buy the spray if it's an old jacket, or just go out and buy a new one. You're gonna want a merino wool buff for your neck. You can use it to put over your head or just keep your neck warm. Either way, you're gonna want one. You're gonna want a neoprene face mask to use with the buff. So you put the buff on and then you put a neoprene face mask on. Or a baklava. If you get a baklava, be sure that it's merino wool or synthetic, because once again, cotton is the enemy. You're gonna want snow goggles for your face. Eyewear is important, especially when the wind is hitting you. It gets hard to see. There were times I didn't have eye gear and I would have to put my hands over my face. It's just beating on you so hard. You're gonna want a 3-layer system for your hands. You're gonna want merino wool liners. You're gonna want Gore-Tex gloves for the wicking once more. And then you're gonna want some over mitts. Mitts are better than individual fingers because it actually keeps in the heat better. At the Army Surplus store, they have a lot of great Arctic gear. They have over mitts that go all the way up to the top, so it actually covers over your jacket as well and keeps out snow. That's it for clothes. As far as your road vehicle, you're gonna want a 4x4 car with rear-wheel drive. You're gonna want snow tires, and you're gonna want snow chains that fit. Many cars were slipping and sliding all over the road. Buses fell.
Bloody hell, I can't wait to get the heck out of here.
It's a big deal to have the proper traction. To keep your car running and going so the liquids don't freeze while you're there, you're gonna want a battery-powered engine blanket to put over your engine at night. The fluids do freeze. It's sub-zero conditions, wind chill gets to -30, even colder. For technology, the only carrier out there that works is Verizon. Be sure to grab Verizon. I went out with AT&T and I couldn't get any calls out the entire time that I was there. To recharge your phone, you're gonna want a battery source that is not just a battery pack. I took 2 battery packs out there, and once they were gone, that was it. I couldn't recharge them up because it was so cold. I saw that there was a battery source by DeWalt. It is a USB charger that you actually plug a 12-volt lithium-ion battery into. It's a source of charge, and it'll keep you going longer. You're obviously going to want chargers for those 12-volt batteries, but that's the best thing to keep your electronics charged. To keep the batteries charged, you're going to want a small generator running off of gas. Doesn't have to be big. You're going to want walkie-talkies with extra battery to keep in communication with either staff at the camp or your party. It's basically a blackout once you're there, and it just becomes buddy system if you don't have a form of communication. So it's extremely important to have walkie-talkies or just some form of communication, because once again, there's limited service. If you can get a satellite phone, that is the best way to communicate out there. Like I said, Verizon's the only carrier, but even with Verizon, sometimes you only get 1 to 2 bars, super spotty service. You're gonna want a waterproof pouch with insulation for your phone. Electronics do get wet out there, stuff happens, it's a shit show. So insulation for your phone to keep warm so it doesn't automatically shut off. People say that there's jamming and that they have stingers out there. I don't know if that's true or not, but the fact is my phone went from 69% to 1% so many times I can't even tell you, to where your phone doesn't even work. I assume that that's because of the cold conditions and that technology just doesn't run. So an insulation pad for your phone to keep it warm is very useful. You're gonna want a high intensity LED headlamp as well as LED flashlight. Once it gets dark out there, it gets rough, especially if there's wind pounding you in the face with snow. If you're gonna bring any kind of recording equipment, the newest GoPros are best as far as audio. As far as cameras, it's up in the air. People are using bags to cover their lenses, to keep their equipment, but once it gets out there, it's gonna get frozen over, the lenses will get foggy quickly, and all of the footage is super spotty. For sleeping, you're gonna want at least 2 sleeping bags. The best possible thing to do is to get 1 -20-degree bag. You're gonna want an Arctic sleeping pad at least 2 inches off the ground for you to have enough insulation off the ground to be comfortable. A bivy sack for your sleeping bag or bags is needed. It's absolutely essential because overnight you're gonna be breathing into the air and moisture is gonna be going right onto your sleeping bag. So a bivy sack is key to keep that moisture off your bag so that your bag is fresh for the next night. If you're gonna bring a tent, you're gonna want an Arctic tent, basically for Everest, that has a 2-layer system. You have a tent over you, and then you got a tent inside that tent. I know North Face carries some. They're very pricey, but if you're gonna do a tent, that's the way to do it. Coleman tents are not gonna do it. Regular camping tents are not gonna do it. Once you get to know people there, you can definitely upgrade as far as living conditions. Just talk to people, going from army tents to teepees to maybe even an RV camper. But start out with Arctic tent. It's extremely windy. Shit is blowing everywhere. Tents are blowing down nightly. So shelter's key. Do the best that you can, but an Arctic tent to be self-sufficient. Once you get there, if you have no communication, is best. You're gonna want a propane heater to keep on all night with extra propane tanks. There is modules that just put off large amounts of heat that hooks up to entire propane heaters. I know that you can't keep those on inside an Arctic tent all night, but inside the army tents, inside the teepees, inside the medical tents, they have those going all night, and you got to keep switching them out, because once they turn off, you start suffering and freezing. Wool blankets are good for a backup to your minus 20 degree bag. A single wool blanket will do really well just to put over you even if you get too cold in your negative 20 degree bag. As far as other things, just miscellaneous stuff. Basic first aid for minor cuts and bruises. Neosporin, bandages, band-aid, gauzes, etc. Whatever you can think of. And just a small little first aid that you can put in your pack. Neoprene sleeve to keep water warm. It freezes. All water freezes out there during the night. If you leave it out, if you keep it in your tent, and it becomes undrinkable, and it becomes cold all day, so it's hard to de-thaw it. So if you have a neoprene sleeve to keep over like a camelback or something to keep the water in liquid form, that's the best. A neoprene wetsuit is also a pair of clothing that I would recommend. It's at your discretion, but neoprene is the best stuff out there for Arctic conditions. So literally just taking a thin wetsuit as like a base layer could even work. A North Face waterproof backpack that can slick off stuff that you can use every single day to keep all of your essentials that you need with you, such as extra socks, extra mittens, the first aid gear, matches, snacks, whatever. You're gonna want a waterproof sack that can slick off any snow, moisture in the harshest conditions. If you have prescription glasses, it is insanely hard to keep them from fogging up. The best possible thing that we've found is anti-fog spray with Vaseline, and even then that sometimes doesn't work. But if you have prescription glasses, that's what I would recommend. You're gonna want storm matches. Regular matches or strike anywheres don't work. Get those crazy phosphorus storm matches that you can find at REI. They'll strike at any point in time. Those are the best things if you absolutely need fire. Space blankets to have extra just in your backpack spare, maybe 1 or 2 of those. A foldable snow shovel. There's people getting stuck in their cars all the time and shovels are needed. You're gonna want also a snow shovel. The lavatories are always full. They're overflowing, and during the day there's lines. If you can bring a burrito bag or a poop bag, they have cat litter in them, and then you can just pack out your poop. It's the best way to take a shit and keep warm. Also, Nalgene specifically for pissing in the middle of the night is most key, because when it gets cold and there's wind chill, you're just not want to go outside to pee. MREs are the best source of constant food to be self-sustaining. You just pop the heat pack at the bottom of them, keeps your food warm, or heats up your food, and then you can mow down. It's the best source for constant food at all times. 2 to 3 waterproof duffels to pack all of your stuff in to get into your tent. I brought 3 duffels. They got wet stuff, water and moisture seeped into them, and it got my sleeping bag and my clothes wet at times. So waterproof duffels are really nice to have. Always bring extra medication if you need medication. Heavy duty tarps to lay down underneath your tent, or just to use and hand out whenever you need them. Duct tape. I would bring a roll of duct tape, or even the Gorilla Tape, stuff that sticks even in wet conditions. The sticky parts on the duct tape, the adhesion, goes out with moisture. Thick trash bags and Ziploc bags are also very good always to have if you need to put it on top, put it over your clothes, or just Ziploc bags to compress your clothes into different things to put in your waterproof duffels. Those are the things that I have found that work best from trial and error. My stuff wasn't perfect. It was super rushed going out there, but this is the most supreme list that you can possibly have. It would probably cost to get all of this stuff, if you were to buy it out of the store, $2 to $3 grand. I know I spent close to $700 just getting merino wool, under layers, top layers, boots, everything. And I know I wasn't completely prepared, but I was comfortable. This is the list to be just the most optimal you can possibly have. Thanks for listening and watching.